Previously on Chief Concerns.
But the one good thing that we've done is we brought in a lot of O-line for depth. So if he's not able to be the starter for camp or for the season, I think we've brought enough in to give him time to heal and to be prepared.
To dismiss experts coming in is absolutely asinine to me. That's lunacy. That's lunacy to me. For a guy to even think, well, I don't want to do it. That's you don't want to hear anymore. Just get as informed as possible. I don't care if I agree with it or not. Get as informed as possible.
It's the corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys, Joe, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG.
The month of June is heating up with a ton of exciting sports action, and BetOnline is where you can find it. From basketball and hockey playoffs to baseball's marquee matchups, including prop bets and futures, BetOnline has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next tip-off, face-off, or pitch, head on over to BetOnline and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash. I'm here with former tight end Jason Dunn and former cornerback Eric Warfield. How you guys doing today?
Man, I've had a long day. I'm pretty sure JD's had one too.
Long day, brother. Long day. I was just telling Marcus, man, busy. I'm, been busy all day, just running. I've been up and down the road. I have. The crazy part when I was getting up here for the show, I almost ran out of gas. I had to put in my GPS, the nearest gas station.
Oh shoot!
Wow.
So I was coming from the country, and so I was on 9 miles left.
Oh man, that's rough.
I said, man, if I'm sitting in this brand new ride, don't run out of gas, boy, it's gonna look silly.
This ain't the kind of heat you want to run out of gas in.
Huh?
This is not the kind of heat you want to run out of gas in.
Oh no. But it's nighttime, a little cooler, so I get to see my big tail on the side of the road like it thumbing it. I see somebody thumbing the other. I ain't see somebody thumbing along. Think somebody gonna pick me up?
I was reading a story the other
You're
day
too
about.
big, bro.
Yeah, that would be interesting though. So certain cars you probably can't get into, right, JD? Like a small little compact sports cars. Is that tough for you to get into? Like a little BMW Z4? Would that be tough to get into?
I'll pour right in it. I'll pour right in it. Now I might mess up your upholstery and all that. Now I'll try and get up out of it though. But I get in. Hard part is getting out.
Yeah.
Hey, so before we go on, I got a question for you too. Do y'all have a team that, matter of fact, a player? Let's go team or player that you just absolutely love, watched growing up as a kid. And is there a player that you hate?
JD, you go first on that one. I'm curious on yours. Is it any sport or just football?
Love watching when I
Any sport.
It doesn't have to be a long answer. Just somebody that you hate and somebody that you admire.
I don't know, man. Hate's such a strong word. I don't know. Hate. I don't know. I don't know if I really disliked anybody as far as I'm trying to think anybody. But you're talking about love. Now, I used to be a big Dr. J fan. Dr. J. I used to love watching Dr. J. Him and of course, Magic and them guys out there. But yeah, Dr. J was my guy.
Okay.
But hate, man, I can't think of nobody comes to my mind right now. I was into wrestling. Wrestlers used to, certain guys, run out, boo, look at this guy, so
Yeah.
some of those dudes I couldn't really stand.
Gotcha. Marcus?
Yeah, I'd probably go Allen Iverson as a player I loved growing up. Player I did not like as I got older, I liked him more but when he played was Kevin Garnett. I could not stand Kevin Garnett when he played in the Timberwolves. He was just too, I don't know, he was too out there yelling all the time people's faces and stuff. But as I got older, as he became like a veteran player with the Celtics, I didn't mind him. But as a kid, I couldn't stand Kevin Garnett.
Okay. You see, I'm the same way. Like, I don't have a player that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a LeBron fan at all. Never really been a CP3 fan, but I don't hate those guys. I enjoy watching them play because of their talents.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I was just saying that in particular just because of all the stuff that's kind of come out with Trae Young. Like, people spitting at him, like people making like some crappy videos about him. Like, I don't know how you find it in your heart within yourself to just hate somebody like that. Like, what makes you want to spit on somebody because they play a sport?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's too much invested. And you're
like, throwing popcorn on somebody, throwing a water bottle at somebody. Like, what makes you feel that type of anger to go to that extreme? Like, they're professional athletes. They got to go home to a family just like you do.
Mm.
Right. Look, somebody spit on me and throw popcorn on me, then what you did just signed up for getting your tail kicked. I'm serious. Like that. Now you open up the door for those things.
I get that point.
Yeah.
But my thing is, like, I've seen, like, even with, like with Twitter, social media, people will let other people have it. Like they don't even think this man has a conscience, has a family.
Yeah.
And they just go all in on the person.
Mm.
And I don't know how you get that type of anger if you don't get to compete against that person. Like, you're not battling against this person one-on-one. He's going against your team and other players. What makes you get that type of ill feelings toward an individual or a team? Like, I understand, like, some people grow up and if they don't have the talent to play, like, that's their dream, is to go out and watch those guys and cheer on those guys because they've done it since little kids.
Right.
And so that's all they know. That's all they cherish. But still, even at that point, like, how do you find it within yourself to go to that extreme? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed from the Knicks series, and I think in a little bit of the Sixers series, I'm a Sixers fan, and I will say I don't so much hate Trae Young. I hate the way the officials officiate when he plays. And I hate, he's taking advantage of the rules, and I can't stand that stuff, like the flopping, the coming off the screen and shooting shots. I hate that. That's the officiating thing that I hate when it comes to him. But I've seen the whole, like, Trae Young's balding chant, and I think that's too much. It's too personal of an attack for a whole crowd to be cheering in Madison Square Garden and during the Sixers games. It's just like, I don't know. If you're going to call him out, like, say something basketball related, but Trae Young's balding, I just think it gets too personal. It's just like that's kind of too much for me.
Look, if you go into games and you're doing things like that, man, you have bigger issues in your life. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, that's the way I look at it. I mean, because like you said, what makes you come out to a game, spit on somebody or talk about it, like on Twitter, talk about their family, whatnot? To me, it just sounds like, to me, you're just a miserable person, honestly. Like, it tells me a lot about your character, because like, I hear people all the time, like, look, nobody comes to your work and complains at you and boo you all day, right? Not saying that you don't have customers or, people that may say things to you, but even then, you had to say, like, man, this person must be miserable, thinking about just doing things just out of spite, so I'm like, it's better. If you're doing things like that, then you need to just probably need to reflect on your life a little bit more.
Yeah, seriously. I agree. Because, like, at some point, you're going to have a family. Who's to say your kid may not be successful at sports and he's in that position one day? Like, how would you feel if that's your kid out there getting yelled at? I mean, he's a professional athlete, but he's 21, 22 years old. That's still a kid in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
Like, how would you feel if that's your kid out there getting, criticized and yelled at, cussed at, spit at, thrown stuff at? Like, how would you honestly feel as a parent if that's your kid out there being talked down to like that?
To be honest with you, what we're seeing, man, is just a lot of bad behavior. I mean, it really is. Just like in this world is just being, I think, exposed maybe a little bit more of just seeing people, and I would feel terrible. And if you can't really empathize with other people, like like you're saying, like, can that be my child? Could that be my kid? How would I treat this person? You know what I'm saying? Even if it was me, like how could you say this about this man and not walk in his shoes? Well, at least try to think about being in his shoes.
Yeah.
So to me, man, it's that bad behavior just being exposed, and it's sad. It's really sad to see. So I just think, man, if anything, sports should be the one thing that everybody should be able to agree upon, at least. Like, even I'll tell you what, like when we played out in Oakland, right? And you see how much we got booed out in Oakland, right? And how much they hate us and stuff. But what I was seeing was almost like a caricature of them being like Raiders fans, because they would clap it up, if something happened, or, I've seen a lot of the fans that would dress up and say that they hate you, boo, and stuff like that. But it was just them playing that role of like to be like the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So in the Raiders category, I feel like exactly what you're explaining. Like that's what they are. They want to sit there and try to get in your head, but they don't take it too personal. Now, right. I've been in Denver, and Denver, they got, fans that will literally take it to a personal standpoint. I've been in Philly, and I've heard some Philadelphia fans take it to a personal standpoint. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for the most part, like the Raiders, I used to see all that stuff like, man, I don't want to go down to the end zone and mess with those people. But as soon as you go down there, you get some of the, biggest smiles and like, man, we're just in character. That's it. It's out here enjoying the game. Now, there's some Raiders fans within the stands that you may not want to mess with. But for the most part, those people that are in that end zone, man, they're just out there for the enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
And also another player just thinking about
question,
Rodney Harrison was another one that I didn't like growing up. Not hate at this point, but like growing up, that was a guy I didn't like. Chargers, then Patriots. It's the and he was voted dirtiest player a few times in the league. So
Rodney will come up and punish you though.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So this week we got a lot going on this week with Chiefs. I know if you watch ESPN or Fox Sports, we're in the headlines for a lot of different reasons this week. One of the reasons was our first concern tonight is Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell went on a Twitter rampage it was Instagram, and then he went on a Twitter rampage explaining what he said on Instagram. But essentially, he said that he'd rather retire before ever playing for Coach Reid again. So I guess. And since then, he's been blasted by current and former Chiefs players and just players in general in the league. Because, Andy Reid's one of the most beloved guys in the NFL. And when you're coming at a guy like that, that you're going to bring a lot of, negative feedback. And just curious, what did you guys make of Le'Veon's statement?
I don't know what was said between him and Andy Reid to make him, voice his opinion like that. But I know they finally got a comment from Andy Reid today, and Andy was like, you know what, I'm still a fan. We've had a good time when he was here, had some great conversations. So he doesn't really understand why he would go out and say the things he said. He said at the end, he wished him the best. The thing with Le'Veon is doing is like he's creating, he's kind of blackballing himself because like no team really wants to bring in a player like that. You're gonna go out and dog a coach, a head coach that's been praised since he's been in the league, for at least with the players and for what he's done with coaches for their careers. I've heard nothing but good stuff about Andy Reid, and my perception on what he brought to the team wasn't what I'm pretty sure that what we thought Le'Veon Bell was supposed to be. He wasn't the Le'Veon of old, the Le'Veon of Pittsburgh. And I think that we as fans kind of expected that, him to be like a game changer, to take a lot of pressure off of our passing game and Patrick Mahomes. And he didn't really bring that to the table. And I think his argument was that, he didn't get the ball enough. I didn't see him do a whole lot of creating when he had the chance. So you can't knock a coach or be I don't say pissed, but be upset at a coach because, it might be that you're getting close to being over the hill. Like, old age kicks in and you're not the same players you used to be. And we hate to see that. We hate to know that we can't run as fast, jump as high, or do the things we used to do, because that means we're getting old. We don't want, and like I said, I know we said some episodes ago that players like to go out on their own. It's very rare you see guys in a Tom Brady position that gets to play throughout 20 plus years. That rarely happens, and if it does, it's at a quarterback position. And so we don't like to be seen at that point of falling off or not having it anymore. So that's just my take on it. That could be what it is. I don't know, but he's creating this whole dirt hole for himself.
JD?
So I've kind of went over this in my head a little bit because I heard a lot of just the talking heads and people's opinions about it, and to be honest, I think the way that he did it was the issue in itself, right? Look, everybody has an opinion, and everybody may not be treated the same like everybody else. So we don't know what the promises were again for Le'Veon when he came in. And I think that's what it boils down to. I think it was something that maybe their expectations, maybe Andy said something to him, his expectation and Le'Veon's expectations of getting there was the issue. Now, we always want to say this. You want to concede having the professionalism with, what you're doing, right? So that's part of the problem. You don't want to come out if you're trying to get another job. You want to, hey, look, you know what? I appreciate the Chiefs for everything they did and Andy and such. Fine. Do it that way. Keep it regarded and just being professional in your opinion. And I think it's part of the problem.
Just say you didn't fit their scheme.
Yeah, right. Look,
that's it.
And to be honest, I'm like this. Look, if the man felt that way, fine. He felt that way, right? And I get it. Like everybody's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So regardless of everybody might praise Andy, he might have a problem with him. So like I said, we don't know what happened in that issue, right? But Andy handled it graciously, right? Like he should have. Andy said, hey, look, I'm still pulling for Le'Veon. And look, it goes to the heart of the problem of everybody gets into their feelings, and the first thing they do is go put it on social media. That's the issue. Anytime somebody's in their feelings, let me go to the world and tell the world how I feel about it and voice it. Well, guess what? There's going to be consequences to what you say. It is. It's going to be backlash. Somebody's not going to like what you say. I don't care who it is. And so that's the thing about it. He's voicing his opinions based off his emotions and his feelings, right? And he goes out here thinking that Twitter or whatever is going to hug him back, Instagram, wherever you put it at. And they didn't. So he said what he had to say. Fine. But you know what, man, just, have a little bit of gratitude when you do it and then be professional. Hey, if you want to get out of the league and then talk about it, fine. Do those things after that, right? And then you can let these things be known. But before then, just be a professional. Hey, appreciate the opportunity. Didn't work out like the way that, I wanted to, and just kind of move on. So I don't have an issue with I have an issue with how he laid it out. We put it that way. I just think everybody does that, man. Everybody just kind of puts everything out on Twitter and social media and then think that maybe you won't be able to get no backlash from it. So, hey, man, he should have known that. He should have known Twitter's going to come for him. Yeah. So, but that's my opinion.
I think a good example of what you're saying, JD, is Bashaud Breeland. Over the last month or so, he was talking about how he was, he wasn't appreciated. And then as soon as he gets signed by the Minnesota Vikings, he has 3-4 tweets thanking the Chiefs and everything they did for him and what the community and the Chiefs fans, the organization meant to him. And then he said, but I wish you all well, and now I'm on to my next chapter now. And I think that was a good example of like walking the line there. You might be pissed off by the situation, but still you don't let that affect your overall what people think about you and the way you kind of handle yourself on social media.
Yeah. Look, and the reality is, because if he does get signed to another team, like he said, it's going to be hard for him to get signed to another team. Somebody might say something to him, but then other teams might say, well, what happened, right? We want to know what went on, so we don't know who we just know that everybody gives high praise to Andy, which he deserves, right? But, somebody might have had, Le'Veon might have had a problem with it. You just don't know. So, that's a man's opinion, so that's how you had to deal with it. But don't think you won't get backlash and the consequences of what you say when you say it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so for our next concern, so this week was you had the mandatory minicamp pressers. And Tyreek Hill came on and during his press conference, and he said that he doubled down on what Patrick Mahomes said a couple weeks ago, which everyone was kind of talking about, him saying that we're going to go 20-0 this year. That's what he hopes for. And Tyreek Hill doubled down on that this week. I think it was yesterday. He doubled down on that, saying he wants to go 20-0. He's right, lock and step with Patrick on going 20-0. Okay, there's a lot of mixed things on this I've seen on social media and ESPN, but what are the pros and cons of setting the bar I want to go 20-0? What are the pros and cons of setting the bar like that so high?
I don't have an issue with it. I don't have one issue at all because I know before every season, your goal is to be in the Super Bowl. So even in the off season, you're going to tell people, yeah, we're going to be there next year. We just left it last year, the year before. So yeah, that's our goal, is get the Super Bowl. Now, if we want to set the bar higher and say, yeah, we want to go 20-0, I see nothing wrong with it. That's giving you a goal to something to achieve. It hasn't been done. It doesn't ruin the chemistry of the team because you're setting it that high. It just gives those other players that much motivation to say, hey, I think it's accomplishable.
Yeah. Look, they got their target on the back anyway. So
either way,
I don't think so it's not going to matter. Like you said, shoot, look, you've been top notch in the NFL for the past few years. And so how would it sound if he said, well, we're going to go 14-3, right? They're like, wait a minute, hold on. What? Look, y'all, the pinnacle of the NFL. So him saying 20-0, he's supposed to say that. That's the confidence, that's the ability, and they absolutely can obtain that without a doubt. So that is something that is attainable for them. So I don't have no issue with it. So regardless of it, the con of it is, man, look, there ain't really no con. Everybody's coming after you anyway, right? So it don't even matter. I'm fine with it. Good for him. Shoot, 20-0, double down, triple, whatever he had to do.
Yeah, and also with that, Travis Kelce also said that because I guess reporters, they're trying to trip these guys up, not purposely, but they're asking him if there was anybody on the schedule who kind of scares him, and he made a case for all the teams on the schedule about how good they are this year. So I mean, is that something that's learned as a veteran, like being a consummate professional, is just to talk about all the good the teams have to offer? I mean, is that what you guys are?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this. Was there any game that we went into that you thought we was just going to lose, just straight up?
Nope.
There it is. So every team, look, if you ain't talking about going undefeated, well, shoot, then, that's the issue. You might not even put those pads on, for real. That's the way I look at it. Shoot, if you ain't trying to go out there and be undefeated.
I guess you're supposed to look at the schedule and say, okay, we're going to end the season with 12-5, yeah. I see 5 losses on there. No.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get drugged this game. Yeah, this right here gonna be a little tight for us. Oh yeah, we ain't got no chance against this one. We just going out there.
I'm gonna hang out this one.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, look, he's a professional, man, and they playing at a high level. So, hey, man, I'm glad they got confidence like that. Shoot, and like I said before, with their ability, they definitely have a chance to do it.
Yep.
All right, so last question before we get our guest on here. So during the mandatory minicamp press conferences, Travis Kelce kind of revealed a little bit about our offense, a little new nugget about our offense, that this year they're going to be adding more multiple tight end sets into the offense. I know, JD, I know you like that.
Yeah.
Now, what does this say to you about the offense and the pieces that we brought in this summer?
That is telling me that they got weapons, right? They know what they got in that room. And so they know what they got in Noah when he came in, man, from Duke. And so when they see these things, they sit there like, look, there's no way this guy right here with his ability can't get out there on the field, right? So if there's been any question or issue with the guys on the outside, which I don't think it is, but if you see somebody else in another room, you're sitting there saying, well, these guys right here are solid. We ain't got no chance, we need to play this guy. We need to find something to do to get a package in to get this guy out there on the field. You want to get your best guy's ability to be out there on the field. And the same thing is created on defense too, man. If you got some great defenders, man, you got to be able to create things for them to make plays out there on the field. So hats off to them. I think they should do that. because guess what? It's a matchup nightmare. When you have two guys like that, Kelce and Noah, who can get out there and beat linebackers, can match up well against safeties, and then you can put them out on the outside and do whatever. And so, like I said, when you do multiple tight end sets, then all of a sudden you can run, you can pass out of it. And so you don't become as predictable in those sets like that. So hats off to the enemy and them guys getting that thing done.
Yeah.
Let's go tight
He
ends.
knows more about
Let's
that
get
than what I can speak on. So yeah, he can talk more about that setup. That was an ace package. That,
ace,
what they bring into.
yeah.
So, but as I've always said, to me, I mean, he's big, but Kelce is a receiver. You know,
Yeah.
He's putting up receiver numbers, whether it's catches or yardage. So throwing an extra tight end out there, it creates more havoc because it gives us more options of interacting that run game, and especially what a lot of the stuff that we heard on was short yardage and goal line. So I think it helps a lot with that too. So, and that's one thing I'm pretty sure that they saw over last season that we needed to work on, was because we sucked last year in the red zone, and then to see all the opportunities that we missed out on of not being able to punch it in and having to take field goals down there. So yeah, you can capitalize on that short yardage, add another tight end, and especially another playmaking tight end. That creates a lot of havoc.
Yeah. See, and that's why I hated. Everybody used to always talk about bringing in that extra tackle. It's no, absolutely not. Leave that guy off the field when you can. Like you said, man, when you could take advantage of it down in the red zone, man, that's what you want to be able to do. So just kind of a little football knowledge. So when you get that tight end, you just move him out a little bit, right? So what are you going to do with it? You're going to bring the linebacker, you're going to pull him out the box, which you hope he does, right? So what that does is it takes everything out of the run game, as you know what right? Because now the guy's caught in between. And so you got a bigger guy who could block down, carry down on the edge. I mean, it just it's advantageous to have another guy like that could do those things. And Noah's a good, he blocks too. He's a guy that's going to block. So that's a good thing too. They know what they're getting with him. And the other guy that's there too.
Blake Bell.
So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Good to hear that.
And Louis Riddick today actually tweeted about it wasn't about this quote about the multiple tight end sets, but he just said that the Chiefs think they have someone special in Noah Gray. So if Louis Riddick's tweeting that out, then that's how you know that there's they feel like they got a good backup guy for a Kelce and another guy to put out there on the field. So
yeah,
good pick, man. It was a good pick.
Really fun to watch. Yeah, no, for sure. All right. So now we're going to our Chiefs Kingdom Concerns segment. Now, this is an interesting one. So this is one of our day one follows. This guy, he lives in Indonesia, which is crazy. You got a Chiefs Kingdom fan in Indonesia. But for time being, he's staying in the States this summer. But he's been dying to come on. And he said a couple months ago, he's like, hey, wait till I get in the States. I'd love to come on the show. And now he's in the United States, and now he's coming on. His name's NoahJon. He's on Twitter at Ghost of Harar. That's his Twitter handle. So I'm going to get him on here.
Nice.
Hey,
what's up, Noah?
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen. Am I coming in clear?
Mr.
Yes,
Marshall?
Yeah. What's up, man? What's going on?
Hey, brother. Wow. Yeah, Mr. Marshall. This is my job account. So I'm Mr. Marshall.
Okay.
All right. Man, I had to tell you, man, I love your stuff on Twitter. You know what I mean? You put some stuff out there, man. I love, following you. You got some really good stuff out there, man. So I think I like a lot of your stuff anyway. So
I appreciate that. Just make sure I don't get fired for most of it. I appreciate it though. But
yeah.
I mean, Marcus too. Marcus, I'm glad you're still here. You didn't jump off a bridge after last night.
I was really upset last night, man. I was still recovering this morning.
Ridiculous.
Noah, man, it's awesome to finally meet you. And I was telling the guys here, that you live in Indonesia. And I remember when we first started the show, I remember looking at our demographics of where everyone's liking our stuff, where's viewing our stuff. And I saw some stuff from Indonesia. I'm like, Indonesia? Then I saw you commenting on our stuff, and I saw that you live in Bali. And just kind of talk to us about how you are a chief and how you ended up in Indonesia. So let's kind of talk about that.
Sure. So I'm back in the States now, in upstate New York, like Saratoga, Schenectady, Albany area, visiting my family and friends who haven't been here in 2 years, but Chiefs fan from my father. And he grew up all around the world, but was in like Kansas City in his formative years. So you know how it is, just like indoctrination.
Oh yeah.
Royals too. And then Indonesia. I work overseas. There's schools for like expats who are from all over the world that go to these countries for either banking or business or entrepreneurship. In Bali, it's tourism, and also for Indonesian families that want kind of a better education than the national public schools. And so I'm a librarian at that school. I'm a certified, got my master's degree in it and stuff. And actually from UAlbany, where Rashad Barksdale, former Kansas City Chief cornerback, undrafted, first UAlbany player in the NFL, played for the Chiefs. And he had a nice little career.
Yeah. So librarian, that's interesting. All of that you just said, man, is really interesting. To find yourself there for something like that. That's cool though.
Yeah,
cool.
And I watched the Super Bowl at about 7:30 in the morning at a bar in Sonora outside, as part of Bali, with this parent at the time, a parent of a student who was Chiefs fan, and none of his kids went to school. We all had Chiefs stuff on. We were at the bar like 7 o'clock in the morning, a personal day. And, that fourth quarter, it was 20-10 or whatever. And then Damian Williams and Ty Hill and everybody. And we just ran on the rest of the day. And it was fantastic. So Bali and the Chiefs will always be connected for me. But yeah, I've been there.
Hey, so as far as like the Super Bowl, do y'all have like a Super Bowl party? So it was the game kicked off at 7:30, right, for you?
Yeah.
So were you up at like 3 o'clock to get everything going, or what?
Yeah, I mean, like, American sports aren't big over there, but the Super Bowl, everybody shows it. And this was before the pandemic. So we just said like, hey, where's a close place close to our house? And we went there and they just had it set up. And then this year I watched it at home because the pandemic and whatever, I was just trying to, and my friend came over, he was an English guy. And we watched the Chiefs Pats 2018 AFC Championship game in the library during school. I had class and I was like, this is American education. And then when D Ford lined up offsides, and then when Dieter recovered what I thought was a fumble, and then they saw like the ups and the downs, like that was something. So that guy came over and watched it, and we won't talk about that, but yeah, Bali has been very connected to the Chiefs' success in my life, at least.
All right.
That's what's up.
That's awesome.
I got one of my partners, man. He goes over every year to Bali, and he loves it. He absolutely loves it. Takes pictures. Yeah. So he's trying to get me to come.
Dude, let me tell you, you got to do it. It's not even a question, man. Like, you guys get here. You won't. I mean, not that money matters, but it's so cheap. You won't even spend $1,000 for like 2 weeks, and you'll see some unbelievable stuff. And I'll show you where to go, and I'll leave you alone. You should definitely take your friend up on it, man.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect, man.
So,
Look, I'm
so
sold on now.
Guys, I'm the single guy.
Yeah.
What do the ladies look like out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think TripAdvisor said Bali. It was the 2017 #1 destination in the world for vacation, and it's the #1 place that some poll that people want to go after the pandemic's over. So in America, it's a lot better there. Bali's looking good, but the rest of the country, but every type of woman in the whole world, but Indonesian, the most beautiful. But every except no American girls, not really any Americans. So actually,
yeah.
But yeah, for sure, come through.
Now, Noah, man, I know you said you had some questions for the guys, so I'm going to let you have the floor. I'm going to let you ask away, my man.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. So first of all, I just really love this show. I found this one night just searching the word Chiefs in Apple Podcast. And then the CC arrow came up. I'm like, that's cool. And I listened to it. I'm like Eric Warfield and Jason Dunn. And because, up until this Super Bowl team, like I think anyone over 35 or 30, the 2003 Kansas City Chiefs are like, for me, they're up there with the Super Bowl team because it was so iconic. It was such, Priest a cast off, Vermeil coming out of retirement, Green a cast off, Morton a cast off, Kennison a cast off, and then this offense just blew up. And And, I mean, it was just an amazing team. Everything about it, Coach Vermeil and everything. So 9-0 and then whatever. So yeah. So I'm really interested to talk to you guys. So, and then Marcus is talking about the 2003 team like he's my age. I'm 38. I'm looking at this guy like this guy looks very young. And he said, and then he said he was what, 8 or 9 years old. He knew everything, Dante Hall, the whole deal. And then it was so funny when Eric said, he's like, I don't know any centers. I just know Casey Wegman. Like that's all. So I love that aspect that you guys are here, and Marcus just does a great job like filling in the details and stuff. So like I had an Eric Warfield jersey, 44, custom made NFL.
Oh,
I just grew out of it. So not just, but I grew out of it. So we donated to like a church in Clifton Park, New York. So some kids running around Eric Warfield jersey. And man, sorry. Like, so just that 2003 team, like I was just looking up the stats. Like JD had 3 touchdowns that year. He played in 16 games.
yeah.
Eric had played in 15 games, 4 interceptions, and you had 1 sack. Eric, do you remember what game you got that sack?
Was it Buffalo?
Yeah, it was Buffalo. 38-5, you guys won. That was like, and that was when because that defense, like I think 7 games, you guys allowed 17 points or less, and then there was like this one game, I think it was week 6 in Green Bay overtime.
Yes, I remember that.
Jerome Woods had that pick.
JD, you remember coming in out in overtime and the Chiefs ran the ball 9 straight times.
9 straight times. Yeah.
You were pushing people all over the place. And then it's on YouTube. And then Morton Anderson missed the kick. But then the defense got the ball back on a fumble. And that's when people are like, we have both, we got both this year. So, people talk about the defense, but like there was a lot of time, a lot more good than bad.
Yes.
That people like this. Everyone can do it. So anyway, I just really love that 2003 team and really happy to be able to hear with you guys. So JD, my first question is for you. 2007 Hard Knocks. I just want to hear anything about that. I mean, it looked like Tony G and you were in a bunch of scenes together. You're picking him up. It also seemed like he was kind of over it. Like he just I didn't like these quarterbacks, and he just seemed like, I don't know. But like, what do you think about Hard Knocks in general? Like, do you think it has a negative, positive effect on a team? No effect? Would you recommend it or not recommend it? Because the Chiefs were one of the first ones to do it. Just how was that whole experience? Having them around, and what can you give them and the editing? I don't know anything about how that works. So just anything about Hard Knocks.
All right. So my first take on it, man, was I think it was a distraction. And, when you first think about it, it's like, oh, it's going to be pretty cool, right? Cameras around, they're going to have it on TV, just kind of see how everything operates. But, and I said this before, what ends up happening is players all of a sudden become Hollywood, right? They want to be in front of the camera. Then all of a sudden, they're not being genuine. You're not being organic with themselves. And so they start playing to the camera a little bit more. Guys are just, to me, it just caused a rift because there's guys that love it and some guys who absolutely hated it. And so some guys, what you end up doing is you just fall into that whole line of like this whole reality TV type of deal. And it's crazy for the simple fact, the things that was happening and how they would display certain guys' lives, whether it was good or bad, was what I had an issue with as well, right? And so I know you remember that thing with me and Herm kind of going at it. And so part of the problem is like the editing of it. when you get into the editing and you don't really have, any part of the creative process, right? You ain't really, into it. So when they air something, well, shoot, hopefully they'll come and get your stamp of approval first. And they didn't really do that, man. So to me, I just didn't like Hard Knocks. Maybe it's different now. I kind of see teams. And I think if you go into it as a head coach saying like, listen, this is what you'll be able to do. This is what you won't be able to do. And I think having Herm coming from New York at the time with the Jets, he was more so used to like the entertainment. He's, colorful. And so to him, he didn't really find any issue with it. I just thought, just kind of bothered the chemistry of the team. I really did. I just totally disliked it because guys got out of football and weren't really focused on it and was more so now you want to be Hollywood. And it was just crazy to me, man. It just and guys' heads are just turned around. It just didn't make any sense to me. And so we paid for it. I said that was the worst year chemistry-wise, and we paid for it, and you've seen the results of it. And all of that stemmed from that whole Hard Knocks deal. Seriously. And so it got tiring. Like you said, Tony was over it. A lot of guys was over it. It was fun when it first started. After a while, man, they just like, man, y'all guys are still here. And so, yeah. No, do not do Hard Knocks or any type. Man, leave it to Hollywood for that whole reality TV show. Leave it over there, so, yeah.
JD, didn't you tell me that like the film crew tried to get into one of your tight end meetings and you guys like closed the door, you guys locked it so that the film crew couldn't come in?
Oh yeah, man. They were just everywhere. They sit down like right in front of you and just have cameras, and they would try to sneak in the meetings and whatnot. And some things you don't want, you don't want to put on camera. You having, really, conversations intimate about things that's going on, and these guys are just intrusive on every single thing. It never failed. It never failed. So, your family's watching at home. You might say something, you might do something, and then all of a sudden when you're trying to be in this mode of being a whole character, that's what you are. You're a character of like who you are as a football player. And it's crazy to me. I disliked it so much. I really did. I just didn't like it. That's my opinion, man. To me, you can leave it. You can leave it.
No, that's a very honest, interesting answer. It's the only season of Hard Knocks you can't find on YouTube.
Yeah, it's true.
But I really appreciate it because the fans want to see that, of course, but like not at the peril of like the chemistry of the team. So I'm glad that you.
I'm gonna ask you this question, and I don't know if you know this or not. Can you name me one team that's been successful off of Hard Knocks?
Definitely not the Raiders. Definitely not the Raiders. I know that. That was
right. That's won it all, maybe the playoffs. I can't think of one right now, right off the top of my head.
The Jets, I think in 2010 made the playoffs. And I think the 1 year Cincinnati was coming off. Cincinnati, the second time they were on it, I think they were good. But some of them were quite bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of my point of it. But if the Bengals was on it twice, they probably knew what to make of it. And then you got Marvin Lewis too. So Marvin, second time, like, look, man, we ain't gonna do this. We will orchestrate what we want to orchestrate here. So
yeah, the Raiders one was so great. Like it just they were just an absolute mess. Antonio Brown with his foot,
mess. Mess, man, mess. And now think a lot of like Antonio. All of that was the camera thing. I'm telling you, you give a bad behavior a spotlight. Come on, nothing good could turn out from that, and it didn't. You seen how it was, man. So,
Chargers too with the rookie quarterback. Chargers too, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, my second question is for Eric. I'm curious, because again, going back to that 2003 team, I think a lot of the fans they didn't really think that it was a players thing. I think a lot of it was coaching, like Greg Robinson, for example. I'm just curious, what do you think of a guy who was at the top of his profession? Like he had 2 Super Bowl rings, as good as it gets, can't take that away from him, comes to Kansas City, has whatever, goes to Syracuse, my favorite team, goes 5-27 over 4 years, goes to Michigan. He gets, you should see what they say about him on their blogs and stuff. And then he gets hired at UNC and he gets fired before the season even starts because the alumni just lost their mind. So, what an interesting career. Just anything about because if I saw Vonnie Holiday drop back in coverage one more time as a defensive end, after he had 3 sacks in the first game of the season, it's what are you doing? So I think a lot of fans just, because I remember it was the next day, Coach Vermeil got rid of him, and it was just one of those things where it was like Bob Sutton a couple years ago, and it was just so I don't know anything about that kind of defense, either just the scheme or anything about it, the feeling, anything about that, man.
So the thing going into that, we knew of Greg because Ray Crockett came into the Chiefs, and Ray played with Greg Robinson when they won the Super Bowl. And Ray had already told us, Greg is good at certain things when it comes to a defense. Now, the thing is, he's going to give up chunks of yardages in other aspects. And that's basically what our defense was. I think in a couple of years, we led the entire NFL in turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
but we were giving up a crap ton of yards.
Greg Wesley with those turnovers. Greg Wesley, always in the spot, always grabbing that.
Yes, and so we created so many big gaps to where we were giving up chunks and chunks and chunks. But we were thinking we got these great players and we had this good team that was supposed to go to the Super Bowl and win it all. And yet we're creating all these turnovers, but as an overall defense, we're not all that good because of, we got all these gaps in our defense. Even with my play, there was a lot of times with the defense to where like I'd have to go man to man while the rest of the defense was zone. And that was mainly because the other corners that we had weren't the man-to-man jam type. They weren't all that good at that technique. But they're really good at zone coverage. And I take nothing away from Dexter. Dexter was a really good corner, had a lot of turnovers for us. We ended up bringing in Patrick Surtain, who was, a great corner. I started out with Hasty, went to Chris Dishman and who else?
Barty.
Carlton Gray. Yeah, I'll mention Barty. Barty had a hard time, man. And the guy played safety. I think he played safety in college. And his transition wasn't as easy as mine was. And I think they kind of saw the same thing, trying to, move a guy from safety to corner. And he just didn't have the transition that I did. But, he did have a time struggling. And when it got to Barty, after Barty's first year, mentally, Barty was out of it. And there was nothing anybody could do to get him back in the realm of things because he had taken so much heat and had heard so much criticism to where there was nothing he could do that was right. I remember a game, Tennessee, and I think the receiver is Bennett, the tall white guy.
No, Drew
I
Bennett.
want to say he had close to 200 yards receiving that game. Heck, me and Barty both didn't play well that game, but Barty came to me in the middle of that game and told me to have Peter take him out of the game because he couldn't do it. And they just went at it every single play. And every play that came his way was a completion. And I've never in all my life of sports had, a fellow teammate come to me and say, hey, could you have the coach pull me out? I had to talk to him and keep him in the game. But yeah, it's hard when you have the fans and everybody is just riding your ass. But, he was one of those that just couldn't take it to continue playing through it. And it struck him his first year. But the thing on Greg, I forgot your first name, Noah, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not the one to sit and bash on a person. Greg,
you at the league now? You at the league now? You ain't got the contract coming in. Come on, be real. Shit, be
but
real.
Either way, that's not what I do though, JD.
Greg
created a career for himself and had quite a tenure in the NFL and throughout sports for a reason. He wasn't the guy for us, and it kind of showed in the way we played. But yeah, at some things we were good at, and a lot we were bad at. So I just know that the defense that we had, it wasn't up to par to complement the offense that JD was a part of, and that's the thing that hurt us for that 2003 year.
Dude, so that's an amazing answer too. I mean, your transition was really good. You had a very successful career, but what are the Chiefs doing? Just going from safeties to corners? Because Barty was a second round pick. He started, I think, every single game in Kansas City, and then he started every game, and then he never played for another team again. Didn't even get a signing in a training camp. I mean,
even the guys that they brought in, like drafted, they didn't beat him out unless you're just saying that they drafted some bad guys.
Man, Barty was fast, man. Barty was fast. And so, and look, Noah, what ends up happening is this. Look, all that information gets passed on. And so, like he was talking about, like him saying something like that, man, once your confidence is shot and coaches know it, if you're trying to get a job somewhere else, coaches is like, look, you know what? This guy right here, if he's not all the way there, right, and he lost confidence, it's going to be hard for us and tough to sign a guy like this if he's not confident in his abilities. And so Barty was fast, but I would say it's your transition because you're just an athlete. You know what I'm saying? You're one of the best athletes I've seen, play ball. So I'm just saying that. And so that transition from a safety to corner, that ain't easy. It's usually the other way around. That's why I say it's usually corner to maybe safety. But, from a safety to a corner, Man, that's tough. That is. That's tough.
Confident. Yeah, he had no confidence. And man, it's sad because even to this day, like of all the players that I've ever played with, like he's the only guy that we can't find. Like nobody knows how to get in touch with RT.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Wow. I mean,
And Shenard Hart was his road dog. Shenard can't find him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Man.
what you're saying is amazing that he continued to start after that rookie year for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 more seasons every single game.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes into, we were talking about earlier about guys having personal lives and stuff like that. You know, Barty was such a good guy. You know, he's quiet, but a great guy. He was just a great guy. So I'm sorry to hear that, but can't get in contact with him. You know, I hope he's doing well. You know, because look, football is just one thing, right? We all have our lives. You know, our job is one aspect of who we are. It ain't everything that we are. It's just one aspect of who we are. And so, you know, if he just know, man, that look, people, love him and, people being tough on him, man, that's tough for anybody to get into. But I hope he's doing well.
He's part of the 2003 Kansas City Chiefs. Like he's loved
Absolutely.
by a lot of people. Come on.
Yeah, but some fans take sports to the extreme of really not understanding what they're saying or what they're doing in a person's life. Like I had that conversation with these guys months ago about like how certain things can affect the guy mentally for the rest of their life. Like, if you get on Twitter and look up, Barty's name, it's going to be a whole lot of bad talk, and this guy, he's a dad nowadays trying to raise a family. And, he's trying to explain to his kids how he was a successful football player, whether he had the success or not, he still played in the NFL for a number of years. And a lot of people can't say that.
Definitely.
Ooh, right. Man, that's 100%.
I have a question actually on the Coach Robinson thing. Because I remember as a kid, I remember seeing the press conference, the famous Dick Vermeil press conference where he fired Coach Robinson, and he was crying. I mean, if anyone knows Coach Vermeil, they know he's a very sensitive guy, a very emotional guy. Were him and Coach Robinson that close, or was he just an emotional guy, and that's how he came across when firing another coach?
Yeah, he's going to be emotional just because of that, but also too, I mean, Coach, he invests in guys. If he brings you in, then he's invested in you, right? I mean, I can't see Coach Vermeil just kind of writing anybody off. Right. It's not who he is.
Yeah, I agree. Greg was the Denver guy, so I don't think him and Coach Vermeil had any ties.
Okay.
But I knew that he knew that Greg had won 2 Super Bowls. So he had something on his resume that, they shared Super Bowl rings. So I think he was hoping that, bringing in a defensive coordinator after Gunther could change up things, and, especially having Ray Crockett in there too. And we had Ray Crockett and Glenn Kadres from the Broncos. Having a couple of Denver guys, I think he thought that having Greg would mesh and kind of turn things around.
Let me ask you a C. All right. And this is just me observing, right, on the other side of it. But it seemed like you say, consistency wasn't really quite there. It wasn't really fortified structurally as far as what they wanted to do defensively, but also, too, personnel-wise. Do you think, in Denver's a different personnel. Then you try to bring that scheme into Kansas City with the personnel that you got. Trying to make guys fit is always a problem and an issue. You can't really do that. You know what I'm saying? For real. So, what do you think?
It just didn't work for Greg, man. Like, that's all it is. For me to sit there and dissect that, then I gotta get personal and call out names, and that's not fair to those players, and it's not fair to Greg.
Right. Well, I wasn't gonna say name. I was just saying that the team wouldn't, didn't fit the personnel. I'm just gonna say that, right? So, okay, that's good. That's good. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
Good questions, Noah. No, good questions. Great questions.
I wrote it down. All right, I have one more. So again, going back to those teams because I was in college, man, like I'd go to the bar every Sunday, 2001 to 2005, and watch every single game that the Chiefs played. But JD, like being part of the crew that was blocking for Priest Holmes, I think that's unbelievable. I mean, I looked it up. I mean, you were there when he set the record, 27 TDs.
Yep.
76 total touchdowns in Kansas City over 5.5, 7 years. He kind of had that year that he missed, and then he came back. Yeah. I mean, you were literally part of history. So I'm curious, did he do anything for you guys? Buy you all Rolexes, you always read about. But also the thing is, you are in almost all of his photos when he got touchdown because you're picking him up like that. He would do this thing and then you'd pick him up. Yeah. And so I don't know, did you guys talk about that? Because you are in so many pictures. If you Google Priest Holmes touchdown, number 89 is right there. So
you got to understand though, Noah, Tony Gonzalez is the receiving tight end. JD is the mauling blocking tight end. So for Priest to have a lot of his success, he's gonna run behind JD.
And he had a lot of it, but he's picking him up every time. He's just picking his grown man up. And so I don't know, just anything about blocking for Priest, what he was like, that whole offensive line, because it was just, I mean, everyone knew number 89, right on the jumbo end there. So go ahead.
Man, look, I love every moment of it. I did. I'm thankful I was just a part of something special, especially with Priest. Man, you just call him the galloping ghost. Because that Joker, man, was a workhorse. I mean, he run high knees, he's out there just galloping when he take off running. And so, just the offensive line, I mean, it was fun up there blocking. And we was all on the same page. And hats off to the guys that I was just playing with, right? I mean, you talk about, Rove, Tate, Wickman, Waters, Fields. I mean, Tony, I mean, all these guys, T. Rich. I mean, these guys, man, we were just talking about confidence earlier. And look, we had a swag and a confidence about us as far as running the football. And regardless of what it was, teams know where we was going. And we didn't care anyway. We still going to run. We was look, we running it right here. And we just going to put our hat on the hat and just win. But having Priest back there, man, that Joker, and he used to do a lot jumping over the line. You don't see guys jump over the line anymore. Priest used to, launch out from 10 yards.
Take
flight quick, man. Little muscle. And so Priest, man, he was, he really, kind of, gave us a lot of love. And I got a jersey. Priest, did, a few things for us, of course, like guys usually do. But I got his jersey down. He put it up in, already signed and in the little frame and everything like that, man. So, Priest was a guy who was gracious, man. He, great guy. But yeah, man, it was fun, man. In 2003, man, like I said, man, we had no one offense, I think, for 2 or 3 years, in the NFL. And that was the thing about it. We just, teams just couldn't, they couldn't stop us. And we just had fun running the football because we just knew we had an advantage, over the defense, especially, in that regard.
Yeah. So, Noah, you get to go to many games?
I've been to a couple games. I grew up here, so I've been to a couple Jets games. I went to one. It was I think it was that 2007 season. It was the last game of the season. We lost 38-3. It was raining. It was oh my God. But I went to 2 games in KC, one a preseason game, and then the other one was Halloween 2010. I want to say we played Buffalo, and Suck Up won the game on the last second in overtime. That game was amazing. Eric Berry had an interception of Ryan Fitzpatrick at the end of that game, and we had amazing seats, first row. My dad splurged for him, from my brother and I, and we flew out there from New York. And I remember the first play of the game, Thomas Jones ran around and he got tackled, and he hit the ground so hard, and I'd never seen an NFL game like that close, and I was like,
yeah.
So I've seen the Chiefs. In 1997 or whatever, we went to see him in Philly with Joe Horn and Rich Gannon. I'm not exactly sure what year that was.
I was playing then. Y'all came up to see me. I was on the other side of it then.
Yeah, Vet Stadium. Old
yeah.
Chiefs won, right? Chiefs won that game.
Chiefs won. They beat us. Yes, they did. They beat us. Yeah, at the end, man. Yeah.
I think I've been to some other ones, but I think, but mostly Jets and Buffalo. Oh God, Buffalo. Those are the nastiest fans in the NFL. The new Raiders fans, they're not going to be so bad. Now they're going to be rich Vegas.
Oh yeah. I know it, right.
Those Buffalo fans, you have to park in neighborhoods there, and so we're walking back to your car, like they're nasty. But that was a tough game. We lost 16-3. JP Lossman's like, I think his only career victory ever. But you know, a couple of those games they won. That Buffalo game was amazing. But it's a great time to be a Chiefs fan right now. And
yes, it is.
I love you guys being out here and doing it, because Chiefs fans will suffer a lot. Chiefs Kingdom, I think Chiefs Kingdom is the best fan base. That's completely objective. Like, everyone's nice, everyone's cool. And some of those fans out there on Twitter putting out those video analysis and breaking down film and what's going on. I mean, I don't listen to any of their podcasts. I swear to God, this is the only one. But like, I still watch some of those videos, and like the Chiefs fan base is like, I don't know, it's something special. So we need to get a couple more though. We need to get a couple more.
Yeah. It's good people, man. Chiefs Kingdom is a good, definitely good people, great fans. I'm like you. When I go and look at other people out here on other teams, they're crazy. You jokers out here, man, they just saying every little thing, just terrible over every little thing, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great time to be a fan of the Chiefs. We have developed a ton of bandwagoners because of Mahomes, but you know what? I'll take them for what it's worth. It is definitely a fun team to watch.
Yeah, and a lot of those people became fans when you guys were playing. I really believe that. So anyway, that's all the questions I have. So thanks for letting me.
We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah. Man, enjoy your time here, man. Like I said, man, to get out there to Valley. I'm telling you, I'm serious. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna hit you or something like that. If I get out that way, I'm gonna holler at you. Make sure.
Hit me up. I'll tell you where to go, and then I will not bother you. You don't have to worry.
No, you're going with him.
Yeah, you got to show me around now. Yeah,
you got to learn how to ride a motorbike, but we need a big one for you. Like,
all right, that's fine.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it. Like I only listen to this podcast because there's so many Chiefs ones, and there's so many like people out there, and I don't follow any of them except you guys. So
I appreciate
that, man. I appreciate you being a loyal fan, brother. Appreciate you being a loyal fan, man. Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Cool,
thanks, Noah. That was awesome. It's cool because, like I said, I saw the Indonesia demographic. I'm like, what is this? I mean, we have fans. I mean, I know we have fans all over the world, but Indonesia. Then he follows us on Twitter, and then he's commenting our stuff on YouTube, and there he is, NoahJon Marshall.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man, we had to make a trip out to Bali, man. Shoot, that sounds like a nice little trip. Yeah, that sounds like a nice little trip. I tell you, my man, he goes out there every year, man. He loves it. So,
and I believe like in Bali or near there, they have like the Komodo Dragon Island, where it's like you have to go with like a tour guide because the Komodos they'll go nuts, and like they're like obviously they're poisonous, but you have to have a tour guide with you. And actually, my friend was telling me this, that if you go with a girl, they cannot be on a period during that, because the Komodo dragons will smell blood, and forget about it. So like you have to make sure, if you're going to go with a woman, you have to make sure they're not on their period, which is. But I heard that, I was like, holy crap, that's scary, man.
That's crazy.
But cool, guys. So that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Chief Concerns presented by BetOnline. As always, if anyone in Chiefs Kingdom has any concerns for these two, please tweet at us at @ConcernsChief or email us at chiefconcerns@yahoo.com. Gentlemen, always a great show with you guys.
Deuces.
Absolutely. All right, my brother. Y'all be good.
Have a good one, fellas.